from there, and the situation would have gone to another level altogether. So it's like immediately when my first sentence, when my first response is positive, it's solution based. I have protected myself. Big, 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 big protection. I have protected myself. Second part, what we can do is whenever you're sitting with yourself early morning, sit with yourself and just sit in silence and just see what are the thoughts that come to you. Like a physical wound. If I hurt my foot somewhere and I just put a medicine quickly and I got back to work. But then when I sit back at the end of the day, I suddenly realize it's hurting a little bit, right? But I didn't realize it during the day because I put some instant medicine and I was back to work. So when you sit in silence with yourself and just see what are the thoughts which come to you, you will know that this is your emotional pain. That means this is a wound which was created. We were very powerful and positive in our words, which is a big, big achievement. But somewhere I'm holding on to that little pain. And now what we do is you write out your thoughts of pain. Write it out. What is your mind saying? It's like somebody else saying something to you. So write out those thoughts of pain, and you already have the beautiful positive vocabulary with you, right? So you know what you have to say to that. So then you also write out those positive words. And when you do that every day for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, do it when you're in silence. Very soon, the change that you have created in words will also become the change in your mind. And second, very important thing is take care that you don't consume that quality content. It's like I heal my mind and then I again hit my mind with some content where they're using negative vocabulary. See, what you are learning from Tony is positive vocabulary, but what you are learning from the world in terms of entertainment and content could be a completely opposite vocabulary. Now, how much time are you listening to him and how much time are you listening to other content? So what is going to happen with the mind? Which one is going more on the mind? So along with consuming positive content, we also really, really need to restrict negative content. It's like healthy diet and junk food. So if you eat healthy food 1 meal a day and otherwise thrice in a day you're consuming junk food, which one is more powerful? So try and keep a healthy diet throughout the day. That itself will make the whole process very simple.
I would add that the questions that we've been talking about here is to question the meaning. So when you feel, it's great to give it a label initially so you don't go deeper down there, but then to ask yourself the question in these times he's talking about when you're silent, when you're quiet, what does this really mean? Is this really true? The questioning of the negative thought, right? Most of us doubt our beliefs and believe our doubts. And the question is to begin to ask the question, is this really true? And could it be a misinterpretation? Could this be a misperception? Do I know all that I could possibly need to know about this? And then, as if you're using the format we're talking about for Byron Katie as an example, you could say, when I think this thought, how does it make me feel? Because we only stay with something as long as we feel a certain consequence. How do I feel when it's there? How do I behave? How do I act? Is that really true? Is that how I want to feel? What if I never had this thought? If this thought wasn't here, what I would experience? And then those reversals, which you look at it and say, what if the opposite were true? And you look for 3 or 4 options. Because the secret is, yes, you don't want to just consume things and allow your mind to go crazy, but you also don't want to just affirm something without going to the deeper meaning. Remember, the 3 decisions we teach all of you is that control your whole life is what are you going to focus on? That's what she's talking about. Whatever you focus on continuously, we said this the first day, you don't experience life, you experience the life you focus on. And there are millions of things we can focus on. What's wrong is always available, so is what's right. So it's the habit of that component. And then the second one is, what is the meaning? And can we find the empowering meaning, not BSing ourselves, not just labeling it, but by questioning, we can get to the natural empowering meaning. And then from that, we have different emotions and our actions will change. But the same thing we noticed, it came up earlier when I was talking with the young lady over here, talking so fast. It's not just talking so fast, it's acting so fast. Learning to use those gears instead of only having one gear is what makes life great. But most people are speeding up because if they slow down, they start to feel what they don't want to feel. They start to notice what they don't want to notice. And it's like, if in the middle of your fear, you'll dive deeper into it, you'll discover it has no power over you. If you'll dive into the thing you're trying to avoid in a calm state, a centered state, over and over again, suddenly there'll be no fear because it's all imaginary. It's not real. So these daily disciplines you're sharing are so consistent with everything we've been talking about here. Whatever you feed the mind, whatever you focus on is what you're feeding it. There's so much you could be noticing in this moment. The smell of your neighbor after the jumping up and down, these beautiful words, right? This incredible soul that's in front of us sharing from our heart. There's so many things. You could be thinking about the past, the present, or the future. We do not take in all of life. We take in a very small part of life. So our responsibility, if we want to have a joyous life, if we want to be a source of pleasure and joy and happiness for others as well, is to become more conscious about that. And these times, these short times of giving yourself a chance to feed the right focus, the nutritious focus, so to speak, as well as to question the limiting meanings, they can be done during meditation. But meditation comes in many forms. Some of you don't like the traditional idea of meditation. You could do it on a run. You could do it while you're sitting down, looking out at nature. You don't have to do it one specific way. There's so many ways. But it's just questioning the mind when it has pain or limitation. Because anything that's questioned continuously, you'll start to feel there's nothing real there. But I really love Sister Shivani. You're so beautiful.
Yeah.
She acknowledged the truth. You've done the first step, and you want to own that first step that you've done beautifully. Now it's just going to the next step that'll give you more freedom. Give her a hand. Thank you so much. Right here.
So I help people break free from alcoholism, addiction, and unhealthy dependencies. And many times I do it similar to Tony, where I have to go direct. I have to, it's just my style, let's say. But I want to also learn from you. How do you deal with people that are really stuck in denial? Like, you seem very not like me. So what is your way of breaking people from denial? Like, what route do you take?
Well, just the fact that
Denial
you're
about?
drinking shows the limitation, right? But please, Sister Shivani.
Denial about?
Let's say they don't believe that their problem is as bad. They,
Okay.
everybody loves them. Everyone knows it's terrible, but they're not there yet.
With drugs or alcohol, for
Yeah,
example.
drugs,
Yes.
but you're there to help them break free of that. How would you do that?
Actually, when we don't talk about the alcohol or the drugs, we're talking to the soul.
Yes.
So we work on this soul healing. The soul is definitely carrying something of the past.